Los Angeles is collapsing. It's not just a housing crisis, it's a moral one. In the shadow of Hollywood, tens of thousands now sleep in tents, on sidewalks, under bridges, while luxury towers rise just blocks away. This is the same city that promises opportunity, fame, and freedom. But for many residents, it's turned into something else entirely. A place where the streets are lined with pain, not dreams. Where families are priced out, veterans are ignored, and the vulnerable are left to vanish in plain sight. With over 75,000 unhoused people in LA County, a number that's rising every year, the city now leads the nation in urban homelessness. And it's not just about numbers. It's about how this crisis is reshaping daily life. Parents afraid to take their kids to the park, seniors skipping meals to pay rent, communities watching their neighborhoods break apart. Today, we ask the hard question: how did one of the richest, most iconic cities in America become a symbol of failure, inequality, and neglect? And more urgently, what happens if nothing changes? As usual, this is not a pessimistic warning, but rather a realistic snapshot, helping us see more clearly what is happening and prepare proactively and mindfully. Because sometimes, to maintain our faith, we need the courage to confront the darker side of the society we live in. And if you are ready to face the silent cracks in Los Angeles, then let's start right now. Just blocks from luxury condos and film studios, a different reality is unfolding. One that's growing too large to ignore. Los Angeles, a city known for sunshine and opportunity, is now at the epicenter of one of America's most visible and urgent crises: homelessness. In 2024, the number of unhoused individuals in the city jumped by 28%, reaching over 46,000 people, according to official counts. That's not just a number, it's a sharp rise that reflects how fragile life has become for thousands living on the edge. And it's not new. Since 2013, homelessness in Los Angeles has increased by over 55%, and the city now ranks number 1 in the United States for the highest percentage of people living outdoors without shelter. Nearly 60% of unhoused individuals in LA sleep without any roof over their heads, not even a temporary one.
Now, where'd you sleep last night?
Well, I slept on the bus.
Did a bus?
And the train.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, sir.
It's hard for someone to express the fear and danger and terror.
But the numbers are only part of the story. The emotional weight behind them is what truly hits home. If you're someone living on a fixed income, relying on retirement benefits or social security, these statistics aren't just headlines, they're warning signs. In a city where a one-bedroom apartment can cost over $2,500 a month, even a single unexpected expense, a medical bill, a car repair, can push someone from stable housing into deep uncertainty. And what's perhaps most alarming is how visible the crisis has become. Encampments are no longer tucked away. They're appearing along sidewalks, freeway exits, next to schools, outside grocery stores. It's a daily reality now, not a distant problem. What happens when a city's sidewalks turn into shelter? When hope feels like a luxury few can afford? For many long-time residents, especially older adults who remember a different Los Angeles, this is more than just discomfort. It's disillusionment. They remember when neighborhoods were tight-knit, when hard work meant stability. Today, those same neighborhoods face tents instead of picket fences, and uncertainty instead of safety. And across the city, the tension is growing. Not just for those on the streets, but for those who live nearby, walk to work or care for children. There's a quiet but rising anxiety. Could this happen to me? To someone I love? Because when a system no longer protects its most vulnerable, the line between us and them starts to blur. Behind every number is a story. And in LA County, those stories are multiplying fast. While much of the attention focuses on the city of Los Angeles, the larger Los Angeles County paints an even more overwhelming picture. Stretching across 88 cities and home to over 10 million people, this region now has more people experiencing homelessness than any other county in America. According to the 2023 point-in-time count, over 75,500 individuals in LA County are living without stable housing. That's nearly the entire population of a city like Santa Monica, gone from apartments and homes, now navigating shelters, tents, and streets. But it's not just how many, it's who. And that's what makes this crisis so personal. We're not just talking about single adults. We're talking about families, seniors, veterans, and even children. In fact, more than 20% of people experiencing homelessness in the county are over the age of 55, many of whom once worked full-time jobs, raised families, or served in the military. Now, they face the harsh reality of aging without support or shelter. For low-income earners and retirees on fixed incomes, it's become nearly impossible to keep up. Housing prices in LA have soared over 30% in just the past 5 years, while wages, especially for service and gig workers, have remained mostly flat. That mismatch creates a silent pressure that pushes thousands into crisis every year. Imagine living on $1,200 a month and paying $1,800 for rent. It doesn't add up, and for many, it ends in displacement. Some areas of LA County, like South Los Angeles and parts of the San Fernando Valley, have seen homelessness rise even faster than the county-wide average. That's not just a statistic. That's someone's neighbor, someone's grandmother, someone who used to hand out candy on Halloween, now struggling to find a warm place to sleep. The ripple effect spreads beyond housing. Local hospitals report higher emergency visits from individuals with nowhere else to turn. Public schools see rising numbers of children without a stable home. Libraries, parks, and public restrooms have quietly become lifelines. And for many watching this, especially those who grew up in LA or remember a more affordable time, the question becomes hauntingly personal. If I were younger today, could I afford to live here at all? When we talk about homelessness, we often picture adults. But what happens when the face of this crisis is a child? That's the unsettling reality in Los Angeles today. According to the Los Angeles Office of Homeless Youth, nearly 21,000 children in the city experience homelessness each year. That's the equivalent of over 700 full classrooms of children who wake up unsure of where they'll sleep that night. This isn't just a statistic. It's a quiet emergency unfolding in neighborhoods across the city. Many of these children aren't living in tents on sidewalks, so they're easy to overlook. They're in shelters, motels, or couch surfing from place to place with their families, a form of hidden homelessness that doesn't make headlines but deeply disrupts their lives. Others live in vehicles or in overcrowded apartments with relatives, never knowing how long they'll be allowed to stay. The impacts go far beyond missing a stable bed. Children experiencing homelessness are more likely to struggle in school, fall behind in reading and math, and suffer from chronic absenteeism. A report by Schoolhouse Connection found that only 64% of students facing homelessness graduate on time, compared to over 85% of their peers. And when your future depends on education, every missed assignment, every missed day can push you further away from opportunity. Their health is also at risk. Without steady access to nutritious food, safe environments, and regular healthcare, rates of asthma and developmental delays skyrocket. For a child, even a short time living without stability can have long-term effects on brain development and emotional well-being. If you're a parent or grandparent watching this, what it would feel like to not be able to promise your child a safe place to sleep tonight. Most heartbreakingly, these children often carry a sense of shame. hiding their circumstances from friends and teachers. They may show up to class without homework, not because they forgot, but because there was no table, no light, or no quiet space to work. Some carry their belongings in trash bags. Others avoid after-school activities because they don't want to reveal where they live. And yet, they keep going. These kids show remarkable resilience. But resilience should not be the only thing they have to rely on. In a city known for opportunity, how are we allowing this many children to grow up without one? This crisis isn't isolated. It's a warning sign of deeper fractures in our systems, where housing, income, education, and healthcare all intersect. It also raises urgent questions. What happens to a generation that grows up without stability? And what kind of city will Los Angeles become if these children are left behind? When safety becomes uncertain, trust in a city begins to erode. For everyone. In recent years, Los Angeles has seen a troubling shift. Beyond the tents, underpasses, and crowded shelters lies another growing concern: crime. According to Neighborhood Scout, over 96% of communities in California report lower crime rates than Los Angeles. In 2023 alone, the city saw a 10% spike in total reported incidents, reaching more than 92,300 cases. A figure that paints a sobering picture. This isn't just about numbers. It's about how fear starts to seep into daily life, in parks, on sidewalks, at bus stops. The violent crime rate peaked at a 15-year high, reaching approximately 976 incidents per 100,000 residents. Property crimes, including burglary and theft, hit 1,439 per 100,000 people. For long-time Angelenos, especially those on fixed incomes or living in vulnerable communities, this increase has created a sense of unease. Simple routines, walking the dog, taking kids to the park, or heading to work, now carry more risk than ever before. And while it's tempting to point fingers at visible homelessness, the truth is more nuanced. Homelessness and crime are deeply intertwined, but not in the way people often assume. Yes, some individuals without stable shelter are victims of crime, targeted precisely because of their vulnerability. With no doors to lock or walls to protect them, they are exposed to theft and exploitation. According to LA County health officials, unhoused individuals are many times more likely to be victims of violent incidents than the general population. At the same time, public frustration rises when encampments appear near schools, businesses, or residential areas. The presence of visible poverty is often equated with danger, even when there's no direct threat. This fuels stigma, deepens divides, and sometimes prompts aggressive measures that address symptoms, not causes. For many residents, especially older adults and retirees, it feels like their neighborhoods are changing, fast and without clear direction. But here's the dilemma. Law enforcement is being stretched, and officers, many of whom are not trained in social work or mental health, are left trying to manage a crisis rooted in housing, health, and systemic gaps. The result? A cycle of displacement, temporary fixes, and continued tension between communities. The issue isn't just public safety, it's about how cities respond to pain, poverty, and people falling through the cracks. If you're a viewer who has lived through economic downturns, rising rent, or even just watched your block shift in ways you never imagined, this story probably hits close to home. It's not just happening in Skid Row or downtown. It's showing up in the shadows of grocery stores, next to freeway exits, near libraries and outside senior centers. When the lines between survival and safety blur, how should a city respond? With punishment, protection, or something more human? When fear becomes routine, neighborhoods start to lose their sense of safety and identity. Los Angeles, for all its cinematic beauty and cultural power, carries another legacy far less glamorous. It has long been known as the gang capital of the United States. With an estimated 950 active gangs and over 105,000 members, gang activity is not just a footnote in the city's story. It's a persistent force shaping entire communities. Behind closed windows and cautious glances, many residents live with a daily sense of unease, one that doesn't make the headlines but changes lives. In many affected neighborhoods, especially those with limited economic opportunity, the threat of gang-related isn't distant or abstract. It's immediate. It shapes where children are allowed to play, how late someone can come home from work, and whether or not residents feel safe reporting crimes. In these environments, trust erodes, not just in strangers, but in the systems meant to protect people. According to LAPD data, gang-related crimes remain a significant portion of violent incidents, disproportionately impacting underserved areas like South Central, East LA, and parts of the San Fernando Valley. But the true damage goes far beyond crime statistics. Gang influence seeps into the very infrastructure of a neighborhood, discouraging new businesses from investing, depressing property values, and adding another layer of fear to already struggling communities. This creates a cycle that is devastatingly hard to break. Limited jobs, underfunded schools, few recreational alternatives for youth, and the ever-present pull of street groups that offer a sense of belonging, no matter the cost. And for individuals already living in or near homelessness, these areas can feel like walking through a minefield. With limited protection, few allies, and nowhere to retreat, they often become invisible collateral damage, caught between survival and threat. For working-class families, retirees, or anyone just trying to hold on to stability, gang violence isn't just a crime issue, it's an environmental stressor. It changes how people live, parent, and connect with their neighbors. Meanwhile, law enforcement faces a tough reality: stretched budgets, community mistrust, and a landscape where organized crime has deep roots. Even when efforts are made to clean up the streets, lasting change requires more than policing. It requires prevention, opportunity, and rebuilding trust block by block. When starting over means starting from nothing, stability becomes a dream few can reach. Los Angeles has long been seen as a city of second chances, a place where people from around the world come seeking safety, freedom, or simply a fresh start. But for many recent arrivals, especially those without legal residency or refugee status, that promise quickly fades into a daily fight for survival. Behind the headlines and political debates, there are real families living in limbo, unsure where they'll sleep next or how they'll eat tomorrow. As of 2023, Los Angeles County is home to approximately 843,000 undocumented residents, according to the Pew Research Center, a dramatic increase from just 210,000 in 2005. While not all of these individuals are newly arrived refugees or asylum seekers, many have recently entered the country after fleeing instability or conflict, and many find themselves without access to the basic systems meant to help those in need. One of the most pressing challenges? Housing. Without documentation, securing an apartment or applying for subsidized housing becomes nearly impossible. For those who are legally applying for asylum but still waiting for paperwork or approval, gaps in the system leave them in a legal and financial limbo. Many are not allowed to work legally for months, sometimes longer, and have no consistent income, no credit history, and no safety net. "We left everything behind to be safe," said one man in MacArthur Park. "But here, even safety has a price, and we can't afford it." Language barriers, limited access to social services, and a lack of community networks only make things worse. With so many local aid programs already overburdened, even those who try to seek help are often met with waitlists, overwhelmed caseworkers, or requirements they can't meet. This influx of vulnerable newcomers adds another complex layer to Los Angeles' broader homelessness crisis. While it's important not to pit struggling communities against one another, the realities of limited resources, rising rents, and strained systems are undeniable. In neighborhoods with already tight housing stock, the competition for low-income rentals grows fiercer, leaving many long-time residents, including low-wage workers and seniors, feeling squeezed out. At the same time, the lack of targeted support for newly arrived populations increases their likelihood of falling into homelessness within their first year, especially for single adults, mothers with children, and older individuals without family connections. But the question isn't just how many are arriving, it's how well we're helping them adjust once they do. The solution lies not in blame, but in balance. A stronger, more inclusive support system, one that includes language access, job readiness programs, legal pathways, and culturally sensitive casework can make a difference. Not just for newcomers, but for the city as a whole. When newcomers arrive with hope, but find hardship instead, what kind of future are we building, and for whom? When the health of a community declines, everyone feels the strain, not just those without a roof. Homelessness doesn't just affect those on the streets, it ripples through entire neighborhoods, changing how we live, work, and feel in the places we call home. Los Angeles, with its patchwork of vibrant communities, is facing an urgent question. How can a city thrive when a growing portion of its population is being left behind? The sharp rise in homelessness, combined with soaring living costs, is putting immense pressure on the overall well-being of residents. While those experiencing homelessness endure the most visible consequences, the stress is shared by neighbors, workers, small business owners, and families who are feeling the emotional and financial weight of a system under strain. In 2023 alone, over 75,000 people in Los Angeles County were recorded as experiencing homelessness, with nearly 70% unsheltered. That means the majority are living in public spaces, parks, sidewalks, outside schools and libraries, changing the rhythm and atmosphere of daily life for everyone nearby. For many middle and working class Angelenos, those juggling rising rents, long commutes, and limited incomes, there's a growing tension between compassion and concern. Community members want solutions, not just for the sake of public order, but because they recognize that no one can truly feel secure in a city where suffering is this visible. Community safety, mental wellness, and a sense of belonging are all interconnected. When residents feel uneasy walking their kids to school or waiting at a bus stop, trust begins to erode. When local businesses close earlier or security costs rise, the economic and emotional toll becomes undeniable. And when compassion is replaced with fear or frustration, it becomes harder to come together around real solutions. At the heart of this issue is stability. Access to fair-paying jobs, affordable housing, healthcare, and social support isn't just a wish list. It's the foundation for a functional, resilient community. And yet, many essential services are stretched thin. Outreach workers report burnout. Affordable housing developments stall in red tape. Community members feel unheard in meetings that end without answers. But there are signs of progress. Some neighborhoods have launched coalitions that bring together residents, non-profits, and city planners to create shared safety and support strategies. Pilot programs offering co-located services like housing, healthcare, and employment support in one location are showing promise. Building a city that works for everyone means investing not just in roads and buildings, but in human lives. It also means recognizing that community well-being isn't a zero-sum game. Helping someone find shelter, access healthcare, or rebuild their life uplifts entire blocks. Making public spaces feel safer, strengthening trust, and proving that recovery is possible. Los Angeles, once seen as the land of dreams, is now facing a harsh truth. The city's beauty masks a growing crisis: rising homelessness, struggling families, overwhelmed systems, and fading hope. This isn't just about policy, it's about people. Real lives caught in a web of economic strain, public fear, and broken safety nets. And while the numbers are alarming, the silence around them is even more dangerous. How long can a city survive when so many of its people are left behind? There's still time to change course. But it takes more than awareness. It takes action. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share this video to help shine light on the reality so many face in silence. Disclaimer: this video is intended to raise awareness and encourage informed discussion. All information is based on publicly available data and research. We present these issues with the utmost respect for those affected and with a commitment to neutrality and compassion.